I've heard people talk about drug addiction, alcohol addiction, gambling addiction. We recognize those. We understand those. We have treatment for those. But nobody talks about relationship addiction. The inability to walk away from people who hurt you. The compulsion to stay in situations that destroy you. The need for toxic connection that feels stronger than any substance craving. For 15 years, I was addicted to toxic relationships. I didn't know that's what it was. I thought I was just unlucky in love. Just kept choosing the wrong people. Just needed to try harder to make things work. But it was addiction. And walking away became the hardest thing I ever faced. Harder than quitting anything else. Because the drug was a person. And people are everywhere. And loneliness feels like dying. This is what relationship addiction looks like. And what it takes to finally break free. My first toxic relationship started when I was 19. He was older, charismatic, intense. Made me feel special. Chosen. Seen. At first, it was perfect. He pursued me relentlessly. Showered me with attention. Made me the center of his world. I'd never felt so alive. Then slowly, things changed. The attention became control. The intensity became volatility. The special treatment became isolation from friends and family. He'd criticize me. Subtly at first. My clothes. My opinions. My interests. Always framed as helping me be better. Helping me improve. He'd get angry. Explode over small things. Then apologize profusely. Cry. Promise it would never happen again. Say he was just stressed. That I made him feel things he couldn't control. I'd try to leave. He'd break down. Threaten to hurt himself. Say I was the only good thing in his life. That he couldn't live without me. And I'd stay. This cycle repeated for 2 years. The highs were incredible. The lows were devastating. But the highs were addictive. And I kept chasing them. When that relationship finally ended, I was destroyed. But also relieved. I thought I'd learned my lesson. I'd never let someone treat me that way again. I was so wrong. My next relationship was different. Or so I thought. She wasn't obviously toxic like he was. She was subtle. Passive-aggressive. Manipulative in ways I didn't recognize. She'd withdraw affection as punishment. Give me the silent treatment for days. Make me beg for her attention. For her forgiveness. For her love. She'd play mind games. Make me jealous on purpose. Flirt with others in front of me. Then accuse me of being controlling when I got upset. She'd make me responsible for her happiness. If she was sad, it was my fault. If she was angry, I'd caused it. If she was disappointed, I'd failed her. I tried everything to make her happy. Changed myself constantly. Walked on eggshells. Anticipated her needs. Sacrificed my own wants, needs, boundaries. It was never enough. Nothing I did was ever enough. And instead of leaving, I tried harder. Because the moments when she was happy with me felt like oxygen. Like I could finally breathe. Like I was worth something. I was addicted to those moments. To the brief relief from constant anxiety. To feeling like I'd finally done something right. 3 years of that relationship destroyed my self-esteem. But when it ended, I was devastated. And immediately looked for someone else to fill the void. By my third toxic relationship, the pattern was obvious. To everyone but me. Friends pointed it out. You keep choosing the same type of person. This isn't healthy. You deserve better. I'd defend my choices. Insist this person was different. That I was overreacting. That relationships take work. But deep down I knew. I was choosing the same emotional unavailability. The same hot and cold behavior. The same push and pull dynamics. I was attracted to people who made me chase them. Who kept me guessing. Who made me work for scraps of affection. Stable, healthy people bored me. If someone was consistently kind, I'd lose interest. If they were available and communicative, I'd feel smothered. I needed the drama. The intensity. The roller coaster. Without it, I felt nothing. Empty. Dead inside. This realization was terrifying. Because it meant the problem wasn't just bad luck. It was me. My choices. My patterns. My addiction. I was addicted to the chaos. To the pain. To the constant state of anxiety and desperate need for validation. And I had no idea how to stop. In therapy, I started understanding why I was addicted to toxic relationships. My childhood was unstable. My parents' relationship was volatile. Love and fighting were intertwined. Affection and anger came in the same package. I learned that love meant chaos. That if someone wasn't yelling, they didn't care enough. That calm meant indifference. I learned I had to earn love. That it was conditional. Based on my behavior, my usefulness, my ability to manage others' emotions. I learned that my needs didn't matter. That expressing them made me selfish. That asking for anything was too much. These wounds created my blueprint for relationships. I sought what was familiar. What felt like home. Even though home was painful. Toxic relationships felt right. Comfortable. Normal. Healthy relationships felt wrong. Suspicious. Too good to be true. I was unconsciously recreating my childhood dynamics. Trying to fix what broke me originally. Attempting to finally earn the unconditional love I never received. But you can't fix childhood wounds by staying in adult relationships that mirror them. You just keep reopening the same wounds. Deeper each time. Understanding this didn't fix me. But it explained me. And that was a start. One of the biggest drivers of my relationship addiction was my inability to be alone. The moment a relationship ended, I'd panic. The emptiness was unbearable. The silence was deafening. The loneliness felt like dying. I'd immediately seek someone new. Not even someone I really liked. Just someone to fill the void. To quiet the panic. To prove I was wanted. I'd jump from relationship to relationship with barely a breath between. Never gave myself time to heal. To process. To be single. Being alone meant facing myself. My thoughts. My feelings. My wounds. I couldn't do that. So I stayed perpetually attached to someone. Anyone. I'd tolerate terrible treatment just to avoid being alone. Stay in relationships long past their expiration. Accept crumbs of affection rather than face solitude. My friends would ask why I stayed. I'd say I loved them. But really, I was terrified of being alone. Thought being alone meant something was wrong with me. Society reinforces this. Single people are pitted. Questioned. Assumed to be deficient somehow. Like being in any relationship is better than being in none. But staying in toxic relationships to avoid being alone isn't love. It's fear. And fear makes terrible decisions. My relationship addiction decimated my self-worth. I measured my value by whether someone wanted me. If I was in a relationship, I had worth. If I was single, I was worthless. I let partners define my reality. If they said I was too sensitive, I believed it. If they said I was the problem, I accepted it. Their perception became my truth. I had no sense of self outside of relationships. My identity was being someone's partner. Without that, I didn't know who I was. I'd abandon my interests to adopt theirs. Give up my friends to prioritize theirs. Sacrifice my goals to support theirs. All to keep them. To prove I was worth keeping. I thought this was love. Selflessness. Compromise. But it was self-abandonment. Self-erasure. Slow suicide of the self. I didn't know what I wanted because I'd never asked myself. I only knew what others wanted from me. And I'd contort myself to provide it. This made me the perfect target for toxic people. People who wanted someone with no boundaries. Someone who'd tolerate anything. Someone who'd never leave. And I attracted them reliably. My desperation was visible. My lack of self-worth was obvious. And predators can sense prey. Toxic relationships operate on a cycle. And that cycle is what makes them addictive. The tension builds. Something's wrong. They're distant. Cold. Angry. I don't know why. I rack my brain. What did I do? How do I fix it? The explosion happens. A fight. Criticism. Withdrawal of affection. Confirmation that I've failed. That I'm not enough. The pain is acute. Then comes the relief. They come back. They're warm again. Affectionate. They tell me they love me. The pain stops. The panic subsides. I feel okay again. This relief is intoxicating. After hours or days of pain, the relief feels incredible. Better than if there'd been no pain at all. My brain started associating them with relief. Even though they caused the pain. Even though the cycle would repeat. They were my source of relief from pain they'd created. This is textbook addiction. The substance causes the problem and provides the relief. You need it to feel normal. To feel okay. To function. I was chasing that relief. That moment when they'd come back. When I'd be forgiven. When I'd be wanted again. When the pain would stop. And I'd tolerate increasing amounts of pain for smaller amounts of relief. The classic tolerance buildup of addiction. Toxic relationships isolate you. Sometimes overtly. Often subtly. My partners didn't usually forbid me from seeing friends and family. They just made it difficult. Would pick fights before social events. Would guilt me for choosing others over them. Would be cold and distant if I spent time away. So I stopped. Stopped seeing friends as often. Then stopped reaching out at all. Stopped calling family. Stopped participating in activities I loved. My world shrank to just me and my partner. They became my everything. My only source of connection. My only relationship. This isolation served two purposes. It made me more dependent on them. And it removed people who might point out the toxicity. Who might encourage me to leave. Without outside perspective, I normalized the abuse. Thought it was just how relationships were. Believed everyone's partnership was this hard. I didn't have friends to reality check with. To tell me this wasn't normal. To remind me I deserved better. And when things got really bad, I had no support system to turn to. I'd burned those bridges. Or let them decay through neglect. I was trapped. Alone with someone who hurt me. With no one else to turn to. Exactly where toxic people want you. The stress of toxic relationships manifested physically. My body kept the score. I had constant anxiety. Chest tightness. Rapid heartbeat. Shallow breathing. Always on edge. Always waiting for the next conflict. I developed stress-related health issues. Stomach problems. Headaches. Insomnia. Muscle tension that wouldn't release. I'd have panic attacks. Usually triggered by my partner's mood shifts. By the anticipation of conflict. By the fear of abandonment. I stopped taking care of myself. Stopped exercising. Ate poorly. Neglected my health. All my energy went into managing the relationship. Into preventing conflict. Into keeping them happy. I looked worn down. Dark circles. Weight changes. Dull eyes. The physical toll was visible. But I couldn't see it. Or wouldn't acknowledge it. My body was screaming at me to leave. To protect myself. To escape the danger. But I couldn't hear it over my desperate need to stay. Years of this stress took a real toll. Damage that took years to heal. Some effects that might never fully reverse. Relationship addiction isn't just emotional. It's physical. And it can kill you. Maybe not immediately. But slowly. Through stress and neglect and the gradual destruction of your health. My wake-up call came during what should have been a happy moment. I'd gotten a promotion. Exciting. Validating. Good news. I called my partner immediately, eager to share. Their response was cold. Indifferent. Then critical. Said I'd probably have to work more hours now. Wouldn't have time for them. Made it about them. Made me feel bad for my success. I hung up feeling terrible. Guilty. Wrong for being excited. Apologizing for my good news. And suddenly, something clicked. I saw it. Really saw it. The pattern. The toxicity. The impossibility of this situation. I couldn't be excited about my life. Couldn't have successes without punishment. Couldn't be happy unless they were happy. And they were never happy. I realized I'd been living like this for years. Making myself smaller. Dimming my light. Apologizing for existing. Seeking permission to be happy. This wasn't love. This was prison. And I was both the prisoner and the guard. Keeping myself locked in a situation I could walk away from. That realization was earth-shattering. Because it meant I had a choice. I'd always had a choice. I'd just been too addicted to the relationship to see it. Deciding to leave and actually leaving are two different things. I decided to leave dozens of times. In my head. In my heart. I knew I needed to. Knew I would. Eventually. Soon. Someday. But I didn't. Because deciding is easy. Doing is terrifying. I was afraid of being alone. Of the grief. Of the emptiness. Of starting over. I was afraid they'd fall apart without me. That I'd be responsible. That their pain would be my fault. I was afraid I'd never find anyone else. That no one else would want me. That I'd end up alone forever. I was afraid I'd regret it. That they'd change. That I'd leave right before things got better. That I'd give up too soon. These fears kept me trapped. Paralyzed. Unable to act despite knowing I should. Finally, after years of deciding and not doing, I made a plan. Concrete steps. Not just, I'll leave someday. But, I'll leave on this date in this way with this support. I told my therapist. Made myself accountable. Committed out loud. Made it real. And then, terrified, shaking, certain I'd regret it but unable to stay anymore, I did it. I left. The first week after leaving was excruciating. Like withdrawal from any addiction. The urge to contact them was overwhelming. Physical. I felt it in my chest. In my hands reaching for my phone. In my brain screaming at me to just check in. I drafted messages I didn't send. Called and hung up before it rang. Drove past their place hoping to accidentally see them. The grief was crushing. I mourned the relationship. Even though it was toxic. Even though it hurt me. I still loved them. Love doesn't just disappear because someone's bad for you. The loneliness was unbearable. My world had revolved around them. Now there was a void so big I felt like I'd fall into it. The doubt was constant. Did I make a mistake? Maybe I gave up too soon. Maybe they'll change now that I've left. Maybe I should give them another chance. I felt physical symptoms. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Constant anxiety. Panic attacks. My body was in full withdrawal mode. People say breaking up is hard. But breaking up from a toxic relationship is uniquely difficult. Because you're not just grieving the loss. You're fighting addiction. Fighting every instinct that tells you to go back. Within days, they reached out. This is called hoovering in abuse dynamics. Sucking you back in. First came the apologies. They were sorry. They'd change. They realized what they'd lost. They couldn't live without me. Please come back. When that didn't work came the anger. I was selfish. I gave up too easily. I was the problem. I'd regret this. I'd never find anyone better. Then came the promises. They'd go to therapy. Work on themselves. Be better. Do whatever it took. Just please, one more chance. Each message made me weak. Made me doubt my decision. Made me want to respond. To comfort them. To give in. But I didn't. I blocked their number. Their social media. Every avenue of contact. Not out of hate. Out of survival. Because I knew one conversation would undo my resolve. They found other ways to reach me. Through mutual friends. New numbers. showing up places they knew I'd be. Each attempt was a test of my commitment, of my strength, of whether I really meant it. I had to stay strong, had to resist, had to protect myself from my own weakness, from my addiction to them. With no contact established, I had to face the grief. All of it. I grieved the relationship. Even though it was bad, there were good moments. Real connection. Love that felt real even if it was unhealthy. I grieved the future I'd imagined. The plans we'd made. The life I thought we'd build. All of it gone. I grieved who I'd been with them. That version of myself. Even though she was diminished. Small. Trapped. She was familiar. And now she was gone too. I grieved the time. Years invested. Years that didn't lead where I hoped. Years I couldn't get back. This grief came in waves. Sometimes manageable. Sometimes overwhelming. Unpredictable and exhausting. I cried more than I thought possible. Stayed in bed for days. Couldn't function. Couldn't imagine ever feeling okay again. But I didn't reach out. Didn't go back. Sat with the grief instead of numbing it with the thing that caused it. This was healing. Painful, awful healing. But healing nonetheless.
If this story is resonating with you, do me a favor. Hit that like and subscribe. But more importantly, leave a comment. Share your experience. Share some strength. We need each other in this fight.
Without the relationship defining me, I didn't know who I was. For years, I'd been someone's partner. That was my identity. My role. My purpose. Now I was just me. And I didn't know who that was. I didn't know what I liked. My interests had become theirs. My opinions had aligned with theirs. My preferences had adapted to theirs. I didn't know what I wanted. From life. From work. From relationships. I'd spent so long wanting what they wanted that my own desires had disappeared. I didn't know what I believed. About myself. About love. About what I deserved. Their narrative had become my truth. I had to rebuild my sense of self from scratch. Figure out who I was separate from any relationship. What made me me. This was terrifying and liberating simultaneously. Terrifying because I was starting over. Liberating because I could be whoever I wanted. No one was watching. No one was judging. No one was controlling. I started small. What kind of food did I actually like? What music did I enjoy? What activities made me happy? Slowly, an identity emerged. Not fully formed. But real. Authentic. Mine. A few months after leaving, I started dating again. And immediately fell into old patterns. I was attracted to the same type of person. Emotionally unavailable. Hot and cold. Made me work for their attention. I felt that familiar rush. The chase. The uncertainty. The intensity. My addiction recognized its drug of choice. But this time, I caught myself. Recognized the pattern. Saw where this would lead. And I made a different choice. I walked away. Before getting attached. Before investing. Before the cycle could start. This was incredibly hard. Every part of me wanted to stay. To try. To see if this time would be different. But I knew it wouldn't be. Because I was choosing the same thing expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. I had to break the pattern. Choose differently. Even though different felt boring. Wrong. Uncomfortable. I had to retrain my attraction response. Stop being drawn to red flags. Start appreciating green flags. This required conscious effort. Vigilance. Constantly checking myself. Fighting my instincts. Choosing health over familiar dysfunction. Around month 6, the loneliness peaked. It was suffocating. I'd been strong. Stayed no contact. Avoided old patterns. Done the work. But the loneliness was crushing me. I wanted companionship. Connection. Someone to share life with. The urge to reach out to someone, anyone, was overwhelming. I almost called my ex. Almost gave in. Almost convinced myself that toxic connection was better than no connection. But I didn't. I called my therapist instead. Went to a support group. Reached out to friends I'd been rebuilding relationships with. I had to sit with the loneliness. Feel it fully. Accept that this was part of the process. Part of healing. Loneliness wouldn't kill me. It felt like it would. But it wouldn't. I could survive it. I had to believe that. I started filling my time differently. Volunteering. Taking classes. Joining groups. Not to meet someone, but to be around people. To remember I wasn't alone in the world. The loneliness didn't disappear. But it became more manageable. Less overwhelming. Something I could live with while I healed. Without a relationship consuming all my energy, I had space for self-discovery. I tried new things. Things my ex would have mocked or forbidden or shown no interest in. I did them anyway. I traveled alone. Something that had always terrified me. Proved to myself I could. That I was okay on my own. That I was capable and strong and didn't need someone to complete me. I took up hobbies. Rediscovered old interests. Found new passions. Built a life that was mine. Full and rich without needing someone else to validate it. I made new friends. Built a support system. Created a community that had nothing to do with romantic relationships. I learned about myself. My strengths. My weaknesses. My values. My boundaries. Things I'd never explored because I'd always been too focused on someone else. I learned I was funny. Strong. Resilient. Creative. Capable. All things I'd forgotten about myself. Or never known. Because I'd only seen myself through partners' eyes. This self-discovery was revolutionary. I was becoming a whole person. Not half of a couple. Not someone's partner. Just me. Complete on my own. One of the most important parts of recovery was learning to set boundaries. I'd had no boundaries in toxic relationships. Said yes to everything. Accepted anything. Let people walk all over me. I thought that's what love required. Complete selflessness. Total sacrifice. No limits. But that's not love. That's self-destruction. Real love requires boundaries. Healthy relationships need them. I started small. Saying no to small things. Standing up for myself in minor ways. Testing my voice. My right to have preferences. To take up space. It felt wrong at first. Selfish. Mean. Every boundary felt like I was being unreasonable. Too much. Too demanding. But I kept practicing. No, I can't do that. No, that doesn't work for me. No, I need this instead. Some people respected my boundaries. Those relationships deepened. Others pushed back. Got angry. Called me selfish. Those relationships ended. And that was okay. Better than okay. Because people who can't respect boundaries aren't people I want in my life. Boundaries weren't walls to keep people out. They were gates. I decided who came in. And who didn't. And that was my right. Around month 9, something shifted. My self-worth started healing. I stopped measuring my value by whether someone wanted me. Started finding value in who I was. What I contributed. How I showed up in the world. I stopped letting others define my reality. Started trusting my own perceptions. My own feelings. My own truth. I stopped abandoning myself for others. Started prioritizing my needs. My goals. My happiness. I stopped being afraid of being alone. Started appreciating solitude. Enjoying my own company. Building a life I loved even without a partner. This shift didn't happen overnight. It was gradual. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But the trajectory was clear. I was healing. I looked in the mirror and liked what I saw. Not just physically. But who I was. How I was showing up. the person I was becoming. I felt proud. Of leaving. Of staying gone. Of doing the work. Of choosing myself. Of not settling. Of being strong when everything in me wanted to be weak. This self-worth wasn't dependent on external validation. It came from within. Solid. Stable. Mine. Around year 2, I met someone. Someone different. Someone healthy. At first, I didn't trust it. Waited for the other shoe to drop. For the toxicity to emerge. For the familiar patterns to appear. They didn't. This person was consistent. Kind. Respectful. Communicative. All things I'd never experienced in a relationship. It felt wrong. Boring. Too easy. My addiction said this wasn't real love. Real love was intense. Chaotic. Painful. But I stayed. Gave it a chance. Let myself experience something different. They respected my boundaries. Encouraged my independence. Celebrated my successes. Supported my goals. Wanted me to be happy, not just keep them happy. Conflicts were addressed calmly. With respect. With the goal of understanding, not winning. We talked through problems instead of fighting about them. There was no push and pull. No hot and cold. No games. Just steady, reliable, present love. It took time to adjust. To accept that this was real. That someone could love me without hurting me. That relationships could be peaceful and still be passionate. This relationship taught me what healthy looked like. What I deserved. What was actually possible. Even in a healthy relationship, I faced temptation to relapse into old patterns. My ex reached out after 2 years. Missed me. Wanted to talk. Insisted they'd changed. Every addictive cell in my body screamed yes. Wanted to respond. Wanted to see them. Wanted to believe they'd changed. But I knew better. People rarely change fundamentally. And even if they had, going back would be unhealthy for me. Would risk everything I'd built. Everyone I'd become. I didn't respond. Blocked the new number. Recommitted to my recovery. To my health. To my new relationship. I also faced temptation within my healthy relationship. To fall into old patterns. To create drama. To test them. To sabotage something good because good felt wrong. I had to actively fight these urges. Communicate when I felt them. Work through them in therapy. Choose health over familiar dysfunction. Recovery isn't linear. It's ongoing work. Constant vigilance. Daily choice to be healthy even when unhealthy feels more comfortable. Part of my healing involved forgiveness. Of others and of myself. I had to forgive my toxic exes. Not because they deserved it. Not because what they did was okay. But because carrying that anger was poisoning me. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. Didn't mean letting them back in. Didn't mean what happened was acceptable. It meant releasing the hold they had on me. Choosing peace over resentment. I also had to forgive myself. For staying so long. For tolerating so much. For losing so many years. For the choices I made while in the fog of addiction. Self-forgiveness was harder than forgiving them. Because I knew I'd had a choice. I could have left sooner. Should have left sooner. But I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. I was sick. Addicted. Operating from wounds I didn't understand. That doesn't excuse my choices, but it explains them. I forgave the version of me who stayed. Who accepted crumbs. Who abandoned herself. She was doing her best to survive. To feel loved. To not be alone. This forgiveness freed me. Let me move forward instead of staying stuck in shame and regret. Around year 3, I started helping others struggling with relationship addiction. I shared my story in support groups. Online. With friends going through similar situations. I helped people recognize toxic patterns. Validate their experiences. Encourage them to leave. This gave my suffering purpose. My years in toxic relationships weren't wasted if they could help someone else. Could save someone from going as far down as I did. I saw people light up with recognition, finally feeling understood, realizing they weren't crazy, that what they were experiencing had a name, that others had survived it. I saw people make the choice to leave, watched them walk through the same painful recovery I had, celebrated their milestones, supported them through setbacks. This work was healing for me too. Reminded me how far I'd come, how much I'd survived, how strong I actually was. It also kept me accountable. Reminded me why I never wanted to go back. Why the pain of leaving was worth it. Why choosing myself was the best decision I ever made. Even years later, I have to stay vigilant. The addiction patterns don't fully disappear. I still feel drawn to intensity, to drama, to the familiar chaos of dysfunction. I still have to consciously choose health, to appreciate stability, to value peace over passion that burns and destroys. I still have to check myself. Am I creating problems that don't exist? Testing my partner unnecessarily? Seeking the familiar discomfort because comfort feels wrong? I still have to maintain boundaries, even in healthy relationships. Especially in healthy relationships. To not slip back into self-abandonment. I still have to prioritize my own needs, my own goals, my own happiness. To not lose myself in someone else again. This vigilance isn't exhausting anymore. It's become habit. Second nature. Part of how I move through relationships now. But it's ongoing. Recovery isn't something you complete and forget about. It's a practice. A daily choice. A commitment to yourself that never ends. Looking back on 15 years of toxic relationships and 5 years of recovery, I've gained wisdom I couldn't have learned any other way. I learned that love shouldn't hurt. Real love is peaceful, safe, supportive. If it's causing constant pain, it's not love. It's addiction. I learned that I can survive alone. Being alone is difficult. But it's infinitely better than being in a toxic relationship. Loneliness is temporary. The damage from toxic love lasts years. I learned that I'm not responsible for others' emotions, their happiness, their mental health. I can support, but I can't fix. And trying destroys me. I learned that boundaries are love. For myself and for others. They create healthy relationships. They protect everyone involved. I learned that patterns repeat until you address the root cause. You can change partners, but if you don't change yourself, you'll recreate the same dynamics. I learned that healing is possible. The damage isn't permanent. You can rebuild. Become whole. Create something new and healthy. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived. I changed. I grew. I broke a pattern that had controlled me for years. These lessons were expensive. Bought with years of pain. But they were worth it. Because now I know. And I can never unknow. Can never go back to ignorant participation in my own destruction. The person I am now is unrecognizable from who I was in toxic relationships. I'm confident. In myself. My worth. My right to take up space. To have needs. To demand respect. I'm independent. I have my own life. My own interests. My own identity separate from any relationship. I'm boundaried. I know what I will and won't accept. And I enforce those boundaries without apology. I'm whole. Complete on my own. Not looking for someone to complete me. But open to someone who complements me. I'm selective. I don't settle. Don't accept less than I deserve. Don't stay in situations that harm me. I'm at peace. With my past. My choices. My journey. The years lost taught me lessons I needed to learn. I'm in a healthy relationship. With myself first. And with a partner who respects, supports, and values me. Who makes life better, not harder. This version of me was built through pain. Through choosing myself when everything said to choose them. Through walking away when staying felt easier. Through healing what was broken instead of numbing it with toxic connection. I'm proud of who I've become. Who I had to become to survive. to heal, to break free. So why was walking away from toxic relationships the hardest addiction I ever faced? Because the drug was a person. You can't avoid people. They're everywhere. The temptation is constant. Because people change. Show different sides. Give you hope. Make you think maybe this time will be different. Substances don't do that. They're consistent. People aren't. Because society doesn't recognize it as addiction. There's no support system. No treatment centers. No understanding. Just judgment for why you stayed. Why you keep choosing wrong. Because love is involved. Real feelings. Genuine connection, even if it's unhealthy. You can't just decide to stop loving someone. It doesn't work that way. Because loneliness is terrifying. Being alone feels like failure. Like proof you're unlovable. Like dying slowly in isolation. That fear is stronger than any craving. Because the withdrawals are brutal. Not just missing them, but questioning everything. Your worth. Your future. Your ability to ever have love again. Because the shame is overwhelming. Admitting you were in a toxic relationship means admitting you allowed it. That you stayed. That you tolerated the intolerable. The shame is paralyzing. Because the manipulation is invisible. Substances don't gaslight you. Don't convince you they're good for you. Don't make you doubt your own reality. Toxic people do. Because you can't just avoid relationships forever. You have to eventually try again. Risk again. Open yourself up again. That's terrifying when you know how badly it can go. Because the healing is slow. It's not like detox where you get through the worst in days or weeks. This takes years. Of constantly choosing differently. Of fighting every instinct. Of retraining your entire approach to love. Because there's no finish line. No certificate of completion. No day when you're fully healed and never have to think about it again. It's ongoing. Forever. Walking away from toxic relationships was harder than anything else I've faced. Because it required changing not just my behavior, but my understanding of love. My sense of self. My tolerance for loneliness. My entire relationship blueprint. But I did it. And if you're facing this addiction, you can too. It's not easy. It's not quick. It's not painless. But it's possible. And it's worth it. Because on the other side is peace. Real love. Healthy connection. A life where relationships add to you instead of destroying you. A life where you're whole on your own. Where you choose people who enhance your life, not people you need to feel complete. That life is worth fighting for. Worth the loneliness. Worth the pain. Worth walking away even when every part of you wants to stay. You deserve healthy love. Not toxic love. Not any love. Healthy love. And getting there starts with walking away. From anyone who diminishes you. Hurts you. Makes you small. Makes you doubt yourself. It starts with choosing you. Even when it terrifies you. Especially when it terrifies you. That choice changed my life. And it can change yours too.
If you made it through this entire video, thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. For witnessing this struggle that so many people don't recognize as real. Relationship addiction is real. Walking away from toxic relationships is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. And if you're going through it right now, if you're struggling to leave or struggling to stay gone, I see you. I understand. I've been exactly where you are. Now I need something from you. If this video resonated with you, if you saw yourself in my story, if you felt understood for even a moment, will you help me spread this message? First, if it feels right to you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Not for me, but so this message reaches more people. So more people recognize what relationship addiction looks like. So more people know they're not alone. So more people find the courage to walk away. But here's what matters most. Here's what I really need from you. Leave a comment. A real, honest comment from your heart. If you're in a toxic relationship right now, share that. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be ready to leave. Just acknowledge where you are. Say it out loud. I'm struggling. I need help. I see myself in this story. We'll meet you where you are. No judgment. Just support. If you've left a toxic relationship, share where you are in your healing. Share what helped you. What gave you the strength to walk away? What kept you from going back? Someone needs to hear your story. Needs to know that life exists on the other side. If you're struggling with the loneliness of being alone, share that. Tell us how hard it is. How much you want to go back. How you're fighting every day to stay gone. We understand. We've been there. Let us hold that with you. Share encouragement for someone who's terrified to leave. Tell them they can do it. That the fear is real, but so is the possibility of freedom. That they're stronger than they think. Share what you're learning about healthy relationships. About boundaries. About self-worth. About choosing yourself. Your insights matter. They could help someone see what they haven't seen yet. Share the forgiveness you're learning to give yourself. For staying. For going back. For tolerating what you tolerated. Someone else is drowning in self-blame right now and needs to hear that it's okay. That they did their best. That they can forgive themselves. Or just share love. Tell someone they're not alone. That their struggle is real. That they matter. That they deserve healthy love. That walking away is one of the bravest things they'll ever do. Your words have power. Real, tangible power. The person reading your comment might be on the verge of giving up. Might be about to go back to someone who's destroyed them. Might be convinced they're too weak, too broken, too unlovable to ever have anything better. Your comment could be what saves them. What gives them hope. What helps them see they're not alone in this addiction. So please, share. Be vulnerable. Be honest. Be part of this community of people who understand what it means to be addicted to toxic love. And if you're reading these comments right now, searching for a sign, searching for permission to leave, searching for hope that life gets better, you're not crazy. Your struggle is real. What you're experiencing is addiction. And you can break free from it. It will be the hardest thing you've ever done. Harder than you can imagine right now. The loneliness will feel unbearable. The withdrawal will feel impossible. You'll doubt yourself constantly. But you can do it. One day at a time. 1 hour at a time. One moment of choosing yourself over toxic connection at a time. You deserve healthy love. You deserve peace. You deserve relationships that build you up instead of tearing you down. And it starts with walking away. From anyone who makes you feel small. Anyone who hurts you. Anyone who you keep hoping will change but never does. Walk away. Stay gone. Do the work. Heal the wounds. Build yourself back up. The life you want is on the other side of the hardest decision you'll ever make. I made that decision. And it saved my life. Gave me a real life. A healthy life. A life worth living. You can have that too. You just have to choose yourself. Even when it terrifies you. Especially when it terrifies you. I'll see you in the next video. And I'll see you in the comments. Stay strong. Stay gone from what hurts you. Stay committed to healing. You've got this. We've got this. Together.